Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Weddings Uncovered. And this week I'm actually catching up with Nisha from WedInStyle. So really excited about this one. Slight apologies about the lighting because the sun is literally just shining through, but there is lots of hopefully good information that you will find from this particular one. So let's see what Nisha has to say. Hi Nisha, it's such a pleasure to have you here.
Hello, thank you for having me.
First of all, I just have to say that I'm incredibly honoured because I know that you don't do this a lot. So it just feels so special that you're here, and I just cannot wait to hear a bit more about your personal wedding journey and also the work that you do with other couples. So for anyone that's not too familiar with yourself or, the company, can you just explain a bit more, like a very quick overview as to what you offer and what you do?
So as a company, we offer couples a specialised decor service. So we sit down with people, work out what kind of function they're having. So it could be a reception, a mehndi, a wedding, look at different ideas, look at the space someone's got booked, and then try and put together like a nice kind of package depending on the kind of themes that people want to go for together for them. So anything decor related is what we can help with as a company, and that's what we basically specialize in a nutshell.
Amazing. And how long have you been doing that for?
So since I've been married, so about 23 years.
So it's been quite a long time, and I can imagine over the years you have just seen so many different things, which we'll get onto as to how weddings have evolved. But how did you kind of come into the whole wedding industry? Did you kind of get married and then decide this is something that you wanted to set up, or actually was it something that your partner was already doing or their family was already doing? So what kind of made you get into this industry?
So my partner was already really creative before we even met. So he always had a creative hand in things that he was already doing on the side. And then when we got married, whilst we were getting married and planning our wedding, I was on the hunt for a mandap, and I knew exactly what I wanted. So I had a picture of something in my head, and I just couldn't find it. We just could not find it. So we searched. We had a look at different suppliers where I lived. So I'm originally from Leicester, so we went around different vendors, and there was just nothing available as to what I wanted. Yeah. So in the end, my husband and I were like, right, let's just make it ourselves. So we actually made our own mandap ourselves. So that's how it all started. So we made that mandap, and it was the first mandap that we actually owned. And from there, it just slowly started. Well, not slowly, it quite rapidly progressed quite quickly. But that was the first mandap we'd actually put together. And it was funny because a week before our wedding was my husband's sister's wedding.
Yeah.
So whilst we were doing our mandap, we thought, why not do her mandap as well? Mm-hmm. So hers was obviously different, not the same as my one, because obviously you don't want the same.
Absolutely not.
So we did hers, and we did mine as well. And then after that, after I got married, every weekend we were just busy. We were busy helping people, planning, and it's word of mouth recommendation. And it just started from there. So
I love that. That is just the most beautiful thing, to actually have the company start off from your wedding. That's just, I didn't know that. So actually that's really surprising and just really nice to hear. So you must have enjoyed the whole planning process, because it sounds like you were quite hands-on with it. What was it like for you all those years ago when you were actually planning and you were a bride yourself?
So I was a control freak, a complete control freak. And I think it's different. Back in those days, I wanted to do everything myself. My dad had pretty much given me an open blank checkbook. So that was great. That was great. And he was really supportive. Like, it was almost like, it's your big day. You've been dreaming about it forever. Pick what you like, pick what you want. So instantly, back in our day, it was almost like people used to get married in the schools and big venues. So the weddings were like 700, 800, 900, quite normal, like really, really big weddings. I didn't want that. So I wanted a much smaller wedding. So my wedding in the end ended up being like 300. We had less than 300 people, which back in those days was not a great thing for the elderly.
You were an actual trendsetter back in the day, like bang on trend, ahead of your time.
I don't know why, but I think I just always wanted a smaller wedding. And in those days, having a wedding for 300 people was really small, because my sister-in-law, I think for her wedding, which was a week before ours, was almost like just under 1,000 people. So in comparison, you know, they really had, yeah. So my husband's side of the family obviously had to cut a lot of the numbers down. My side of the family are really quite small anyway. Our numbers are quite small, so for us it was not a problem. But yeah, and also the venue that I had found, because I didn't want to get married in one of the big community halls at the time, or the schools. I wanted to get married in something a little bit nicer, so I went in. It was, I don't know if you know it, because you're from Leicester as well, right? So in city centre, it used to be called the Grand Hotel back in the day.
Yes, I know it very
on Granby Street.
Granby Street,
yeah. So that was the venue, and it was one of the first Asian weddings they had done at the time. So yeah, and as you know, the rooms there are not massive, are they? No. So obviously that's where the restrictions came in. So I was really happy with the 300 number. And yeah, like I designed my own outfit as well, and yeah, I think I was a total bridezilla. But looking back now, I think I was a complete. I took my brother my brother came with me to India with my mum, and I think I spent like 2 weeks putting this whole sari together. When I look back at my photos, I'm like, what did I do? But at the time, I was just like, I want this design here, this design. I was so like, it was, oh my God, like I wouldn't let anybody else do anything. I did everything myself. And then I had my dad, of course, on my side, and he's like, yeah, you want this? Yes, no problem, let me write you the check. And
I think sometimes when you have that creative element within you, because you obviously do with the work that you do, you kind of know what you want, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I wouldn't call you like a bridezilla at all. It's just, you're just someone who knew what they wanted, and in some respects that's often easier than actually having no idea whatsoever, because then you can actually waste more time just searching for suppliers or searching for outfits. So I mean, I think it's great that you had that much control over it. What did your partner have to say? Was your partner quite involved in other elements, or you know, was your partner just like, okay, you just handle it, it's fine? No,
he was really supportive. So because he's really creative, he really went all out and started putting all the things together with the mandap, you know, flowers. We did all of that ourselves actually. So he was really like excited, very passionate about it as well. And you could see that with, you know, with the amount of help he gave as well, with the input, especially with the decor. I think with photography and some other parts of the wedding planning, he was happy for me to go ahead, like catering. He was like, you can do all of that. But when it came to the decor, he really did like have a lot of input into it.
Was it quite stressful actually, like having the wedding itself and then managing those elements yourself? Like in hindsight, do you think it would have been easier? I mean, you couldn't because nobody existed at the time, but had there been somebody else, do you think it would have been easier just to offload that to somebody? Or did you love doing it?
I think for us collectively, between my husband and I don't think it actually added any extra work between us. I just looking back now, I don't feel like it would have, you know, made it a little bit more stress-free. I think we really enjoyed it, and that's probably why we continued doing it. So yeah, no, I think it was absolutely the right thing to do, because we got what I wanted. I knew I had a picture of this mandap in my head, and there was nobody in the industry offering that product. So it was what we wanted, and I think putting it together was something we both really enjoyed.
That's lovely. And I think that enjoyment, that enjoyment is so important, isn't it? And I think that's something that I often say to my brides: when you're planning, just make sure that you're enjoying the process, because if you're not enjoying it, it's so disheartening when you see people not enjoying it. Because actually, yes, the marriage is great and that's all going to happen and you look forward to that, but you know, you enjoy the day, but you've got to enjoy that whole journey, because it's such a beautiful time within your relationship, one that you don't get back. And I think it's really important, and it's just great that you said that you did. Were there any like challenges that you faced, aside from, you know, not being able to find certain suppliers, any kind of more emotional challenges, maybe just planning a wedding in that generation when you were clearly so ahead of your time?
I think my biggest challenge was the numbers. So I think that was probably one of the biggest challenges, was just trying to get people agreeing in the family with the numbers. that was quite a big drop in numbers, Meera, at the time. Like for us now, it doesn't seem like a big thing, but back in those days, the weddings were generally like 800-900 people very, very easily. So obviously that's a massive reduction. But I knew in my head I wanted a nice quality wedding, opposed to a wedding with just a lot of people there that potentially I probably didn't even know. So it was just trying to make sure that families were happy with, you know, our decisions of why we've chosen to do what we're doing. And it's different, isn't it? It's just something that you're not used to back in those days. But yeah, no, I think that was probably one of my most challenging parts of it, I think. Yeah,
that it's lovely that your family actually were supportive of that, because I think, like you said, back in the day, I remember when my own cousins got married, there were 1,000 people there, so for them to just, you know, give you that freedom, I think is such a big thing. Was there anything else that actually comes to mind when I talk about challenges or things that you struggled with?
No, not really. I think beauticians, I think I struggled to find the right one back in those days, and I don't think there were as many as there are now. It's a completely different generation now with the industry as a whole. So I think, I mean, now when I look at it, there's so many suppliers with every different, you know, like video people, photographers, beauticians, all the different elements that are in terms of the planning process. There's a lot more choice out there compared to what there was back in those days. So I think we were a little bit limited in that sense, but then obviously we were none the wiser, because we never knew, you know, we didn't know any better, really, did we? So I was very brave, and I did my own hair and makeup at my own wedding, which was
wow, that's like
that's how much of a control freak I was.
I've just got to say, like, this is amazing, the amount of things that I'm learning about you. But honestly, was that quite like terrifying? Because I think even like the best of I guess, you know, women who can do such beautiful makeup on themselves, I think on your wedding day you must be quite just anxious, nervous, terrified. Like, what was that experience like?
You're probably thinking, what were you thinking? Right, so I would not recommend this to anybody. And this was done a very long time ago now. So I think I did have a beautician do my hair and makeup for my register, because I had multiple functions. We must have had around 6-7 functions. So for the first function, I did have someone, and I really didn't, because I don't wear too much makeup. I didn't like it. And back in those days, there was no such thing as a trial. You just turn up and they put the makeup on, and I was like, looked in the mirror, I'm like, no. So that was it. I put a stop to that. So I was like, okay, I'll just do it myself, even though I can't even put eyeliner on. So, but I just made, I don't know, like, it was, I think I took that decision at the time. I had my hair done, but my makeup was just, I don't think I barely had any eye makeup on, but obviously I would not recommend that. It was just something that I didn't want, you know, when you're not comfortable.
You just want to be comfortable in your own skin. I completely understand that. But you are definitely a brave soul, can I just say?
Next time I see you, I'll show you my wedding photos.
I cannot wait to see them. So if you had to pick, I don't know, one like vivid memory that comes to mind when you think about how special your wedding was, is there anything that you can pinpoint? So it could be during the planning stages, you know, when you're doing things with family, maybe when you had a trip out, you know, doing your wedding shopping, or the day itself. Like, is there one thing that really stands out for you? I know that's probably quite hard to choose, but.
On the day, so after the wedding, we did like a little pre-shoot in the lobby area of the venue, because it was quite a nice venue, and they used to have like, I think it was like a little staircase thing they had, and it was a nice little part of the hotel. So we had a little photo session there, and I remember my husband lifting me up and carrying me, and then we were having all these random photos, and I still remember that. And I think with any wedding, I think the day just goes so quickly, and sometimes you need to take a step back and, you know, just let your mind free and enjoy the moment, and you know, enjoy that special, because that time it's there and it's gone in a flash of a second, isn't it? The whole day just goes. And I still have that memory in my head, and the photos to show for it. And every time I look at the photos, it reminds me of that time, and it was just amazing. I really enjoyed it. It's the most, you know, wonderful day of my life, really, that part of the day. So
no, that sounds beautiful, and like you said, it just goes by in a flash. And I find that even when I'm working weddings and doing coordination, like you're all like ready to go, buzzing in the morning. But, you know, once you start working and I'm there on the day, the whole day just flies by in an instant. And before you know it, like everyone's on the dance floor having a good time at the end of the night. And it is really just like a flash. And I just think the more you embrace everything and just enjoy it, and, you know, don't worry so much about, you know, whether something's happened as per the schedule or the plan, like just actually once you're there, just relax, because all that work has been done prior to the day. And when you're there, actually, like you said, you just want to think about all those like magical moments that took place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, one of the great things about having you on is obviously you've seen things change over like various different generations in terms of weddings, both from a personal point of view and a professional point of view, because you work in the industry. So how do you think things have changed in terms of the wedding market from when you got married to like the couples that you work with today?
I think nowadays there's a lot more on offer in the industry. So just as an example, as a wedding planner, so having someone like yourself be part of someone's day, that definitely takes off any stress off for a couple, really, because there's no need for them to have that stress. They can just literally pass that across to you, and they can embrace the entire day. And I think, you know, living in the moment of that day is very, very important for couples, because like we said earlier, the day goes so quickly, and you plan for this day for years. You know, some people spend 2 years planning, and I think what's really, really important is the day itself has to be enjoyed by the couple thoroughly, and that's really important, because when couples try and do things sometimes themselves, they could get so tired, you know, planning and stressing and all of that sort of thing. So sometimes I think with, you know, wedding planners, we never had that in our day. And I think it's brilliant, you know, it's brilliant that people have got that luxury to go out and, you know, sort of pick someone out there that can help with the day. And generally in the industry, I think there's so much more choice, there's so much more variety with everything. You know, look at beauticians, there's so many out there, and it's just changed dramatically. I think the choices were very limited back in those days, and now the world's your oyster. You can, you know, in my day, like I don't think there were people that would sit and design a brand new mandap for you, but now you can do anything. You can do anything, literally. So it's just a case of how far do you want to go.
Exactly. And how much money do you want to spend?
Exactly.
But like you said, there is so much choice, and in some respect, do you think that almost makes it slightly harder for couples, because when they're starting that initial phase, when they've just got engaged and all of a sudden they've got like 10 videographers that they're following on Instagram and like 20 photographers, and it's like, who do I choose? Like, do you think that element is slightly difficult? Because actually back in the day, there were perhaps like 2 or 3 key people that you go to in your local area, and that would be it.
100%. I think back in the day, that choice was definitely easier. With photographers, I literally picked from 2. So I knew who I wanted. He was booked, so then I went for the second one. Nowadays, I mean, there's endless video photographers out there, and I think it's a very hard decision, and I think for couples it's confusing as well. You know, I would say it probably makes the job a little bit harder for couples, because obviously, you know, you feel like, oh, you know, because you don't want to look at 10 different photographers. That's just too much planning work. Like, who's got time to actually swift through or go visit and, you know, have lengthy conversations with that many photographers? So the choices are so vast. I think you've got to really narrow it down, go based on recommendations. You know, if people have used in your family, perhaps, you know, certain suppliers, then look at those. Friends and family recommendations are really, really important. And you've got to just basically narrow it down. Otherwise, I think there is a lot out there. You've really got to know or have the advice of, you know, this is what you should be looking at doing. Otherwise, you can go out there as a newly engaged couple and quite easily get confused and not even know where to start with budgets, because the world's your oyster. You can do anything, isn't it? Like, there's so many different things. So
sometimes I have couples come to me and they will just say, we don't even know what our budget is, because we don't even know how much things should cost. And so they're starting from nothing, because they have no knowledge. And one thing I always say is, you would only get a choice of, say, 3 suppliers initially, because it will just get far too confusing for you. You do not want to waste that much time going through everyone. If you're not happy with anyone, that's fine, we'll go back to the drawing board, but otherwise you just really have to narrow down those choices. And like you said, if you're not working with a planner, you can ask friends and family. You know, there are other ways of trying to actually just really narrow down list, because I think that's key, because you don't want to be planning every kind of weekday evening or every weekend or anything like that. So I mean, just generally, do you have any advice for couples who have recently got engaged or currently in the middle of their planning journey? I know right now is a very difficult time, but just in general, non-COVID related, what would you say to couples?
I would say enjoy it. Enjoy every moment of the wedding planning process. It's something that you only experience once in your lifetime. So you've really got to embrace it. And, you know, I think, yeah, just enjoy it. Just make the most of it. And it's the most exciting time for anyone who's engaged, you know, and planning the wedding. So yeah, just take your time and, you know, enjoy the whole process is what I would probably say. Don't get stressed out. Don't let little things, you know, stress you out. And the more you just let go, I feel like things just work out really well in the end anyway. So you know, just get the right people on board and just take your time, plan it, and enjoy the whole process.
That is such wonderful advice. And Nisha, I have to ask, so if you could do your wedding all over again, like, would you have it exactly the same, or is there anything that you would change?
No, I think I would probably do everything the same, except I would probably get a beautician to do my hair.
Well, I've not seen the pictures yet, so maybe you don't need one, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'd probably get a beautician this time round. But yeah, I don't think I would change anything. I think when I was doing it, I knew it was what I wanted. It was, you know, I was doing it fully with my heart. So yeah, no, I wouldn't change anything.
And before I let you go, how could people get in touch with you if they want some advice on decor?
So we've got all our details on Instagram, Facebook. And we're online on our website as well.
Perfect. Right. Well, thank you so much, Nisha. It's been an
Thank you so much
pleasure.
for having me, Meera. Thank you.
Thank you.